Hey, how are y'all today? Hope you're having a great day. Yeah, this one's going to take a little coffee to get through. Hopefully this is not too long, but I wanted to bring together several concepts that also meet up with the idea of self-reflection, again, goals, what it is you want, what it is you see and what's happening, what's going on, and also asking you to review certain things that we've talked about, some of those things being the drama triangle. And there's a video I have on that. There's a lot of good resources on Karpman's drama triangle. Understanding when we get into that role of being a helper, rescuer, persecutor, victim, and when we are trying to get our needs met and defining what those really are and being honest with ourselves. So here we go. This came about because of several conversations about how people were perceiving others and how they should act. I'm deliberately using those words because this is what was said to me. How they should act, how they should be, and what the person was trying to accomplish. And notice that goes back to that other one, should try but can't, and those words and how they affect you when you jump in to rescue people or you jump in to try to make people be the way you want them to be. And that's why I said this is about self-reflection. A lot of ground if you really think about it. To properly self-reflect, you have to relax for a second. And this goes back to me asking people to be mindful, meditating, doing things so that they can think about what they're doing and asking yourself what it is you want to accomplish. This goes back to a basic concept that no matter what you are doing, there is a reason behind it, and you need to pinpoint the reason. Let me give you an example. If I walk by the little Santa dude, and we're getting that Christmassy time of year, and he's ringing the bell, and I reach in my pocket, and I pull out some change, and I put it in the kettle. Have you ever stopped to analyze why you do that? And have you ever heard the reasons people say? And they're all good reasons. I don't argue any of them. I don't say that they're not valid partially. People will say, oh, I put money in the kettle because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help other people. Okay. I put money in the kettle because it makes me feel good. Okay. I don't know. I've always put money in the kettle. Never thought about it. Some people will even put money in the kettle and won't say why because in the back of their mind, their motives are ulterior. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that maybe sometimes we do things and we want other people to see it because we want to be perceived as a good person. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you know that's what you're doing. Self-reflection. When you do something, what is it you're doing? Why are you doing it? What do you hope to accomplish? Short-term and long-term. Why is that important? Well, I think it's great to feel good about putting money into something and donating or helping someone or giving time. I mean, we're social creatures. It actually helps our own health just to help others and be part of others' lives in doing things that make us a community, a social group, whether small or large. And there's benefit. And some people will say, well, I do it because it's part of my religious beliefs. Okay. And what does that mean? And usually then I find, well, the whole idea that if you do this, it's a good deed and you go to heaven or nirvana or someplace like that. And that's awesome. As long as you admit that's what you're doing. Or some people will say, well, I do it because I was told to and I never really thought about it. And I'm like, well, that's okay. We do a lot of things by habit, ritual, tradition. And sometimes people will say, flat out, I just feel good. That's awesome. That person who you were generous to benefits, and you benefit by being generous. If you can go that deep into yourself, then you start to understand why you're doing it. And why did I take so long to explain that? Because I'm fixing to push it into the next realm. Your interaction with others. Whether it's your kids, whether it's somebody else, co-workers, strangers. When we jump in to help, and help ends up being rescue. If you go back to the drama triangle, remember, I talk about the idea that when you offer help, the person you're offering it clearly knows this is what you're offering. And a decision is made whether or not to take your help. This is complex. Why? A lot of stuff is going on in the other person's mind. When you offer someone help, then you let them make a choice, and that empowers them. When you force someone to take your help, you're disempowering them, and you're sending a lot of messages, and they may or may not be receiving them. Because again, here we're talking about communications. You're saying, here, let me do that for you. And in your mind, you're saying, I'm being a good guy. I'm being a nice person. I'm being helpful. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what I've always seen done. That may not be totally accurate. It may be. Then you have to ask yourself, now that's the message I'm sending. How is the other person interpreting it? Because you may be saying, oh, I'm doing this because I feel you need help and I want to help you. The other person hears, I'm weak and I can't take care of myself. I need someone to rescue me. I don't have an option. I'm dependent on other people. That's a lot. Now, sometimes it goes well and the other person goes, oh, yeah, that's a nice guy. I really appreciate that. Whoa, she really did help me out. That's cool. And sometimes not. You're hoping that they understood you, and you're hoping that they understood you the way you wanted them to understand you. And then again, like I said, you have to ask yourself, am I doing this to feel good? And what are my long-term goals? Stretch this again to raising children. If you do for your children and you do not start to incorporate these ideas of letting them make mistakes, letting them occasionally trip and fall, having them ask for what they need so that you can clarify, asking them, what is it you need? Please clarify. And them telling you, those are skills that teach a child way down the road how to ask for help when they need it, how to be clear about what they want, and how to refuse what they don't want, which is very important. Teaching a child how to adult, how to problem solve, and how to be part of a community. When you jump in and rescue, that's problematic. Even if you get up and say, well, I'm doing it because I'm concerned about them. I'm worried about them. I'm very quick to pull you back and go, hey, exactly what are you concerned about? Because if you're concerned about their short-term well-being and you're letting their long-term well-being fail, maybe what you're doing is not a good idea. 2, are you concerned or do you just want to feel good about yourself? And you really have to ask that. When you do things for other people, what are you really doing it for? How do you even know it's what they want? And even if you do know it's what they want, how do you know they want it from you? And how do you know they want it now? And how do you know when they want you to stop helping? Communication, communication, communication. Got to get that thing going. Otherwise, you slide into the drama triangle so easily. You see someone who you think is having a problem, you jump in to do something, and congratulations, y'all are swimming in the triangle. Go back and reflect. And then ask yourself, too, What is it that you need? And why can't you ask for it? Oh, this is a deeper level. Sometimes when people tell me things like, well, that person didn't say thank you. And I'm like, okay, well, they're supposed to. Oh, here we go. Well, no, you should have good manners. Should. Dang it. Now you shouldn't all over the thing. Don't be shouldn't all over stuff. What is it you really, really mean? Reflect. Well, and then I'll hear, well, when I was growing up, I was taught. And of course, when I hear that, I immediately hear the song from the show. And if you if you know the show, then you hear tradition. And immediately I think, okay, you have a tradition, and your tradition that you're now trying to impose on other people. What you're saying is whatever I grew up was right, and whatever you grew up with is wrong. Now, whether it is right or wrong, I don't know. I'm just saying that you come with the opinion that what you were taught is the way you're supposed to do it, and what other people might have been taught is not the way you're supposed to do it, which I guess, what is that, egocentric? The idea that, it all revolves around you. I tease people every now and then. I'm like, look around. Do you see small spheres of different colors rotating around you? If not, then you're probably not the center of the universe. Let's back it up. Think about this. Second part, even if it is a tradition, why is it a tradition? What's the benefit? And what's the cost? Now, the benefits of good manners, I think it's great when you learn good manners, but taking it for granted that everybody else has learned good manners is, again, taking it for granted and making assumptions. And you know what assumptions make? Yeah, you and me. You also, if you tell me that doing something is just the right thing to do, like helping someone who fell down is just the right thing to do, then why is it necessary you be thanked for just doing what you're supposed to do? Now, we come back again to being grateful. I stretch that a little further. If people say, well, it's just right. If somebody holds a door for you, you should be grateful. And I'm like, please clarify your rule. Well, when someone does something that helps you, you should be grateful. And I'm like, great. Are you practicing what you're preaching? Because if you're not going around being grateful to all the people that help you, you're basically telling that person, well, you should be grateful to me and anybody that you see doing something for you directly. Because you and me both know there's a lot of things going on in this world that you can be grateful for. The person that's out there working on that road, making it possible for you to drive to work, the mechanics that help your car keep on the road, what it takes to just make things work with electricity, lights, power, fuel, food, groceries, the farmer, the people that pick your fruit, put it in the basket, all the way down to the grocery store clerk who rings it up. And every now and then people go, well, they're paid to do that. And I'm like, probably not nearly enough. And even if they are paid to do it, you're still grateful. If the doorman at a hotel holds the door open for you, he's paid to be the doorman. Are you saying don't tell him thank you? After all, he's just doing his job. Oh, wait, different. See? Are you cherry picking the rules? And are the rules you're making applying to you too? And why do you feel the rules need to be applied to other people? See, this is back to that reflecting and back to walking in and out of that drama triangle and walking back into those shoulds and tries and can'ts and buts, bringing all your communication skills to bear to think about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how it affects those around you. And sometimes when you jump in to help your friends or kids, here's the catch. Down the road, are you really helping them? See, when I ask parents, what's your goal? They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you just bailed your child out. Well, they were in trouble. I said, yes, they were. They didn't pay their bill. They got behind in their credit cards. They overcharged. They half a dozen other things. And I'm like, what's your goal? What are you talking about? And I said, I may be wrong, but when I look at nature, I look at people, I think it's the same way. You know, mommy bird, daddy bird, your goal is to put that foot on the back of that baby bird and launch. When that bird's ready, you need to leave the nest and fly. I will see you in the trees. Life is good. And if you're a parent, the idea is you're getting the kids ready to launch into adulthood, go out into the world, and make themselves part of society, part of the human race, part of this thing called us, everybody. And if you're doing something that makes you feel good, and then they'll still say, well, that's my kid, and I don't want to feel bad because they're in trouble. And I'm like, yes, they're in trouble. You ever wonder why they're in trouble? Have you been bailing them out since day one? And have you been bailing them out without insisting they learn the lessons of not getting into the situation to begin with? And how much help is the right amount of help? And then, if you're helping them and you're complaining about helping them, no. You did this, you dug this hole, you climbed in it, and now you're complaining about how deep it is. Stop it. It's never too late to start fixing the problems that you have created, and it's never too late to start reflecting on what you're doing and improve your life. A lot of times parents will meddle heavily in their children's affairs to include their marriages. And I always ask, what's the purpose? And it's always, well, I'm trying to help. I'm just trying to do them a favor. I know what's best for them. Okay, rule number one, how are you doing? If you're coming from a place of absolute perfection and everything around you is just roses, at least I know that you've made a good example of yourself. If it's not, rethink that. 2, rethink the idea that their situation and your situation are identical. They might not be. Every person is unique. What works for you might not work for them. 2, if you impose your rules, your ideas, your rationality on these other people around you, are you sure it's going to get the results that they actually wanted? See, we're back into that whole thing with advice again. Asking permission to give advice after you found out what is all going on and what is it they really want to accomplish. Making sure their goals are the goals that you're working towards, not your own personal goals, which again goes back to reflecting. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you can be honest with yourself, you can improve everybody's life immeasurably by just being honest with what's going on, what you're thinking, and why you're thinking it. So remember, combine the ideas of the drama triangle with a lot of self-reflection and a lot of how you're talking and communicating to people and what it is you're wishing to accomplish across the span of all this. And then, and only then, will you actually start to make a positive impact on what's going on around you. If you're haphazardly throwing out advice based upon your impulsive wants and needs, the results may not be so good. So reflect, think, act with caution. Y'all have a good day, and I will talk to you later. Namaste.